VR has been around since, well, probably before 1994, but the introduction of headsets like the Virtual Boy and the I want to say VFX1, we actually had them in homes, or some people had them in the homes. Before then, it was at theme parks or um, actual centres. And I only found out recently from a video from Linus Tech Tips that this headset even existed. So this is what prompted this live stream. Really, it really got me thinking about where we were in 1994. Which, yes, I was around. My first games console was the NES. Then I had the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive, and that was when the battle really started when it came to consoles. Sega and Nintendo. That was a true battle, not like this Xbox and PlayStation that we have now. Anyway, around the same time in 1995, 94 ish, we already had like things like the Super Nintendo and other consoles, but then the PlayStation 1 was introduced, which brought actual 3D like proper graphics. And it's got me thinking about VR then and VR now and consoles then and consoles now, and where we actually currently stand in what we expect from games and what we actually want to see in a game. Now, I still am of the argument of the fact that you don't need a game to look visually stunning to be a good game. I always go back to the Nintendo as a classic example of this, is the fact that they do not care about how powerful a console is. They just don't care. They tried it with the GameCube. The GameCube didn't do very well, really, in the grand scheme of things. I always thought Nintendo had like a hit and miss. GameCube was a miss. Although, saying that, the N64... No, the N64 was a really good console. And you sort of saw where they were going with the N64. No, the GameCube. It just wasn't quite as... I don't know. I think it was because they moved from cartridges to CDs, to be honest. But then obviously after the N64 was the Wii, which was a massive introduction to just a different style of playing games. And I've always likened the Wii to, like, not quite VR, but close to it VR, because it's a lot more immersive. You feel like part of the game. Like, I used to love Wii Tennis. I can't explain how many hours I wasted playing Wii Tennis. But I was undefeatable in the house, just so you know. But it got me thinking, because obviously the visuals on the PlayStation 1, I remember playing Gran Turismo 1 and thinking, how can the visuals get any better? It was insane. It looked so good. Such a good game. And then you realise now that it can get better. But I'm not sure you could argue that with VR. Now, I haven't tried the VFX one, but I have tried the Virtual Boy, and I actually kind of really enjoyed playing that. Only for about must have done about 45 minutes playing it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good experience for the time. Now, obviously, VR has developed massively since then. And you know, with the introduction of proper PC VR games like Half-Life Alyx, which are up there with some of the best games to ever existed graphically, and not only graphically, but the actual gameplay is insanely good. And then we have where we currently are with VR, where games are more popular on the Quest. So they're made primarily for a standalone device, which again, I'm not a graphic snob. I don't agree to this whole you have to have amazing graphics. But, and this is a difficult but, because I think there are some really, really, really good standalone games. None of them really come anywhere near to like a Half-Life Alyx experience. None of the racing games come anywhere near a Gran Turismo on the PSVR 2. You know, there are some games that need, in my opinion, visual, like, just the graphics need to be insane. They do. And then we have other games, and this might be a game I've just never really gotten into. Mainly for the fact that I'm not very good at it, which I think that's the thing that puts me off. But I get why it's so popular, and it would be Gorilla Tag. But visually, I find it awful. And I feel the same about Animal Company. Visually, I can't get my head around it. Whereas something like an I Am Cat, I kind of get, because it's a nice looking game. But I don't know. I just don't get the visual art, the art style, and I can't play the game, and I don't understand the popularity of it, apart from the fact that when I have gone into it, there's a lot of kids. Now I have no problem. I've got 4 kids. Like, I'm used to screaming kids. They're not really kids anymore, but I remember when they were. Thinking that this isn't a pleasant experience, and it's not the kids factor, because I like playing like the Roblox games. I liked Rec Room. I thought that was a really good fun game. There's just something about those games I don't get it, and I think it's probably just showing my age, but I don't get the visual appeal or the gameplay of it. I might be, yeah, maybe I'm just missing it. But then I think back to like 2016, 2017, when we started coming out with all these bangers of games, and we've gone. I just think VR's gone backwards. Whereas, like, you look at PlayStation 1, and then the development's PlayStation 5. Obviously, 5 consoles. It's 30 years apart. It would expect to see a massive increase in not only games, but IPs, but visual graphics, everything. And some of the games, I don't feel like we've done that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm being harsh. I feel like I'm being harsh. But I kind of just wanted the conversation of, it's been 30 years. Obviously, you know, between 94 and about, I suppose, about 2010, 2011, it's a massive gap. It's not gone to the same level. Now, you can almost liken it to, I suppose, mobile gaming. You think of where mobile gaming has gone from Snake back into the late 90s to being able to play a full-blown game, and I think that's probably the best link you can do. Like, consoles, because they released so many of them, like, and it was gradually got more and more, so gradually you got better and better, whereas, you know, there was this big gap. But when you think of where mobiles have gone from, there just hasn't been the investment, has there? And now we have the investment with companies like Meta, who they're invested. Are they invested as they could be? Could we see more money being thrown into it? I do think there's a long way to catch up. And obviously, you know, it's basically a fancy phone chip that's running in the Quest 3 that's probably not, potentially not as good as some of the high-end phones now. So visually it's not going to be as good. And then, I don't know, I just think in 1994, if you'd have said where we are now with VR, whereas when, like, I couldn't have imagined in 1994 Gran Turismo to look the way Gran Turismo does now, or Tomb Raider, or any of the other games that I really loved playing, FIFA, like, you know, any of those types of console games. I wouldn't have imagined they'd be as good as they are now. So when we're talking about VR, it's hard to picture anything past what we currently have, really, I guess. But we have had better, and I think once you've had better, it's harder to then accept not as good. Maybe the gameplay is phenomenal on things like Animal Company. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just insane. I don't know legally how they've gotten away with it, but because I would have assumed Gorilla Tag would have had. Because anyone else think it's basically a Gorilla Tag clone? No? Anyone? Let me know in the comments down below. Because I look at it and I think, how did they get away with this? I know it's got more animals in it, but, like, the mechanics of the game, the everything about the game, the computer that you use to go to different places, like, no, anyone? Unless it's the same company, but I don't think it is. So I do question how they got away with that. But like I said, visually, a game is not, doesn't have to be visually amazing. But I think unless you're going back retro style, like obviously they're doing the Virtual Boy 2, which I've ordered. Because I think I actually think I'll probably play it. It's doesn't have to come out until February, which is kind of annoying, but I kind of wanted the actual thing rather than the cardboard thing. Don't know what you think. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Gorilla Tag and Animal Company is the IP, the intellectual property that the Quest needed to, but it's not the Quest's, although it is exclusive, so there must be some sort of deal going on there, I would have thought. Obviously it's on PCVR, but it was free on the Quest, so I suspect there's some sort of deal going on there that makes it a bit more of an exclusive title, because obviously it's not coming to Pika, it's not coming to Play for Dream, and I think the whole point of this video was obviously I'm going to get this right, the VFX1 was a PC VR headset, and I don't feel like PC VR is thought of enough. And it's funny, isn't it? Because obviously my first headset was the Quest 2. I'd tried Vive at conferences and stuff like that, but the first one I actually owned was a Quest 2. So it did get me into gaming, but I think there's a stage that you go through where you then realise that if you get some games on your PC, if your PC is good enough, that you realise how much better it is playing PC VR than it is playing standalone, which is why I love the Play for Dream headset. But then again, the Pico 4 Ultra with the trackers, I love, because that makes me feel like I'm almost playing the Wii again, because it's more immersive. I always wanted to play a game like, I keep going on about this, but the Rizzles Premier League player. I always wanted to play a game like that, where you actually kick the ball rather than use your hands to kick the ball. And it's so good. So much fun. Like, it makes you feel part of the game, which is the other element. And that may be why his Gorilla Tag is so popular, because you feel like you're an actual gorilla. I don't know. But I've never been able to move. I feel so old saying that and admitting, well, I just don't get the mechanics. Like, I get that how you're supposed to, and no matter how many times I've tried, I just can't seem to. I don't know. I can't seem to do it. I actually thought Animal Company was a little easier to get a head around, but so I have played that potentially even as much or no, if not more, than Gorilla Tag, but I can't get into it. And then the visual, I just don't. I'd get if it was a Minecraft type game that made you feel like, wow, the visuals don't matter. Because I would say probably, yeah, I'd probably say Minecraft is the ultimate. I don't care about graphics, but even that you can upgrade, can't you? If you really want to add shaders and stuff and make it look incredibly good. But again, that game has so much depth to it that it deserves the the accreditation to that game. Whereas, I don't know. I expect I might get a lot of hate from this, but I just don't get it. Like I say, I get I Am Cat. I really enjoy that game, but it's at its limit. I also thought I Am Security was stupid, but I really enjoyed that as well. I like the stupid games, so like I said, it doesn't matter to me about so much about visuals, but I think we sort of expected VR to be more advanced than it is. And I think in the last couple of years, it's gone a different way. I can't wait for the Decade, because I think that could really be the, if they can make something like Half-Life Alyx run on that, that's really going to show up someone like Meta, because that is what we should be able to do even on a standalone headset. We're all sort of scuppered by the fact that no one wants to build their own chips. Someone had commented on this the other day on one of my videos, like, we all use the same chips. Well, all the companies use the same chips. None of them develop their own, apart from Apple, who developed their own chip. And is that where it's stagnated, really? Because there's no competition when it comes to that. So it'd be really interesting if the Decade has its own. I'm assuming it'll have similar to what it's got on the Steam Deck. Obviously, there's not much room. Choco? Hey, Dak. Josh VT. How's it going? Yeah. But I think in 1994, maybe we just didn't have enough of a vision when it came to VR. Whereas you saw the vision when the PlayStation 1 came out and you saw the graphics. You could see where it was going and how it was going to go from the PS1 to the PS2. I remember seeing some of the clips of some of the games when the PS2 was launching, and you just thought, whoa, this is insane. I remember, and I can't remember the name of the game, but it was some sort of like old army game it was all on horseback, and I did buy that game, and I remember thinking, visually looks amazing, but it was an awful game, and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. But then, I mean, we had Tekken, so that's it. I never, like, fighting games, like, I can imagine on the Pico 4 Ultra a fighting game that's a proper, like, maybe I just haven't looked enough, but like one that uses the trackers, like where you feel like you're fighting in the game. I do remember it must have been a few years now, I think it was the Pico 4, and they had the original beta trackers, and they were showing it, a demo in it, at some Taekwondo event where they were basically kicking the crap out of each other while they were both wearing the headsets, and that was cool. But then you'd both need a VR headset to be able to do that. But I suppose I'm not really struggling when it comes to that, am I? That's a weird flex. But yeah, well, it was just whatever chat, just to sit down and have a thought, a think about it, and I mean, in 5 years' time, do we see something visually stunning coming? I hope we do. I hope in the next year we see something insane come out where you just think, wow. Like, and I think, well, obviously, like, PlayStation VR 2, like, with the launch of the Microsoft Flight Sim, that's going to be really interesting. Because if they can do it on a console, I feel like that opens up a world. But it has, because I did think until recently that the Xbox could be lining up to be sorry, could be lining up to be like the PSVR 2, but using the Quest. but using the Xbox as the power. I thought we might be seeing that, but now Xbox have basically decided to shoot themselves in the, well, not just in the foot, let's face it. They've shot themselves in the foot and the arm and the, not quite in the back of the head, but close. I don't know what's going on there. Game Pass from $12.99 to $22.99. Obviously, in the US, it's gone from $19.99 to $29.99. That's insane, that. I don't know what they're thinking. But then I worry now because GeForce Now might go up. Please don't do that. $19.99 is enough. Don't need any more than that. Anyway, I'm going to go because I feel I can feel myself coughing more. I think I need to go and get myself a drink. So thank you for watching, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one. Good.